Hey everyone, we're just
Hi.
trying to shoot a January update video here, so we hope you had a good holiday
Yeah.
season with your family and your friends, and that the start of this new year has been uplifting and encouraging for you. So January for us was kind of an eventful month, so I got to speak a couple places. Ignite had a team conference, and we started something off. So like I said, I spoke a couple places. The first place I got to speak was at Crescent Christian Academy, which is where
This is
she
where
works.
I work.
So they have chapel every Tuesday, Thursday, and our friend Michael, who got her the job, invited me to speak. And so I went and spoke to high school and middle school, and I spoke on a message of first love, of loving Jesus, and how that looks like something, and how he's moved by the way we love him. And at the end, at least for the high school, I gave an altar call for people to live a Mary of Bethany lifestyle. And probably about 10 students came forward. And then Sarah's going to share what her coworker said.
Yeah, so I work in the preschool, so unfortunately I don't get to attend those. But my coworker, I asked her to go and stop in and see what was going on with Tim in the middle schoolers and high schoolers, and she said she had never seen someone moved to compassion by the love of God, and that it really started something in the school, and not just with the students, but with the administration and the staff as well. So the following morning at staff prayer and devotional, she told me that one of the fellow staff brought it up and told him that it was really something that they were wanting to move forward with the school, and just something they really wanted to touch on as a staff and as a whole school, and that it was something that probably pivotally changed the direction of the school and where they were going. So that was really encouraging to hear that. I didn't even I asked her how it went, and that's what she told me. So it was really encouraging to hear that it wasn't just touching the staff, but it was touching the students, but it was touching the staff as well.
So praise God.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I got touched during it too. I started crying. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. Anyway, so that went well. And then a friend of ours who leads a community in Bowie's Creek at Campbell University, they hold a Tuesday night gathering for college students. And before the Collegiate Jesus fast, which I'll tell you about in a second, they invited me to share about fasting, but specifically living a life in the secret place and how fasting relates to that, so that when you fast, it's not just a diet, but you're actually like meeting with Jesus. So we went and did that, and I went way over time. I really nailed the secret place and loving Jesus, kind of like I did at Crescent. And this time I think it went really well. There was one guy who this is so cool. One of the girls for her birthday was like, her family's like, "What do you want?" And she's like, "I want you to come to Fire Starters." And her brother rededicated himself to the Lord with me after, which is sweet. One of the student leaders, I got to pray for him, and he got really, really encountered by the Lord, just really touched by his presence, and it was a pivotal moment for him. And he said it felt like everything I was sharing, particularly about Mary of Bethany, was everything the Lord had been inviting him into. And then I think my favorite one is on campus. They have a place called the Oasis, where it's just like come hang out, eat snacks, maybe meditate, So they had invited some kid from the Oasis who I don't know if he knows Jesus or not, and our one friend was driving him home. And she's like, "So, what'd you think of the night?" And this kid goes, "Well, it just felt like Jesus was in the air." Which I love that. That's awesome. So that went really well and was really cool. I love that community. God's doing something special in that community. And then another event that happened during January was something called Team Conference. So Ignite just hosted a weekend in Raleigh where all the collaborative ministries that would say they're friends with or getting leadership from Ignite all over the East Coast came together for a weekend just to share stories, share foundational things in the beliefs of Ignite, and kind of revision and re-gear towards what's ahead. And so that was a really cool weekend. I think the most impactful moment for me was there's just a night of worship, and man, really felt God's pleasure over me sitting in a room for a whole semester by myself, just worshiping Him, even though I'm like, is this doing anything? And I just really felt like He said to me that I've heard every song and I found it lovely, and I just got really undone and regripped with, all right, let's do this. And so, and then the last thing I would say about January is we started what's called the Collegiate Jesus Fast, which is a 40-day fast leading up to the Collegiate Day of Prayer, which is the last Thursday in February, which happens every year, and this year happens to be February 28th. So I invited all the students that I could get in front of me at Duke into the fast, and I think 3 of them said yes. I got a definite yes from 2 of them. And this is the first time that they have fasted for more than maybe a day. So they're jumping from 1 day into 40. So praise God. And so I would ask how you can be praying for us and what's coming ahead is, would you just pray that I had a dream in December that I felt like this fast was going to rip something open at Duke. So just pray that, with us, that as we're fasting, as we're praying, that God would move mightily on campus, that strongholds would be taken down, that the kingdom would advance, that students would gather around His presence, that the gospel would go forth with signs and wonders and power. And pray for the students by name. They'd be Jeffrey, Joe, and Wilson. Just pray that God would strengthen them, that He would meet them with revelation in the Word, that they would get free of the things that they're struggling with, and that they would get to step into the next level of freedom, and that we would have good fellowship together. And then another thing I would ask you to pray for is on February 28th, which is the Collegiate Day of Prayer. My hope and my aim is that we would have at least 5 hours of prayer in a row. Noon to 5 is just what I felt to do. So pray that I would have the right connections, that we could get the right room, that I'd get to be in front of students and leaders from different ministries, and that God would just bring those people to me. I don't feel the network, so just that God would bring those people to me, and that we would get 5 hours of worship and prayer going at Duke. So we just want to say thank you.
Thank you
so much for doing this with us. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for praying. Thank you for giving. Truly, we can't do this without you, and you wouldn't be doing this without us. And so we're glad to participate in the giving and receiving. So bless you. Hope you have a good Sunday evening and a blessed week.
We love you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.